Can you tell me your name and what you do at Fairphone?
I am Miquel Ballester. I am a co-founder at Fairphone, and I am the head of product management. And among other things, I take care of working on the design of our products, with other people, of course. My role when designing Fairphone 4 was some sort of design manager, also product manager. And I worked together with an external company called Above, and with our manufacturer, T2M, in getting to the design that we have now in the hands. It's always an interesting process because we need to bring together what is called like a technical package. So how like all the blocks and all the components are put together, and design vision that we had done together with our partner, and getting those to merge together is sometimes challenging. We came from Fairphone 3, and then one thing that we were really clear about in Fairphone 4 is that we wanted to create a stronger design identity that we had with Fairphone 3. Fairphone 3 in many ways is a very regular, standard-looking design, and we wanted to bring a bit of character to Fairphone 4. And that comes, of course, on top of the whole thing of making it a repairable phone, of course, which is always one of the challenges. So when we were thinking about how to bring that character, we worked in many different iterations with the designers that help us to do that. And we started from a brief that we had written on a little bit what kind of character we wanted on this phone. So it needed to look like a phone, so we don't want it to look too strange, but we want it to look a little bit special with the right roundings, with the right graphics that would also convey our brand. It needed to be clearly modular, and it needed to explain that idea of like that is easy to open and to repair. So many things in that brief that then little by little we made possible through the design. I think one thing that was clear was that the opening up experience, right? That when you open the device, that then it is inviting to get into its guts, like that it doesn't look like it's something too technical or too scary, say. And I think we achieved that thanks to the beautifully designed graphics that our brand and our graphic designer did. So when you open the device, it is already kind of a different looking device, right? It's something that you don't necessarily expect. And that was one of the big goals. And when you get even further and then you get into the device, it also needed to still not look too daunting. And that's challenging because the moment you open it and you open the modules, you start seeing components, of course. But for example, small design or small details like having the Congo map on there are small cues to talk about who we are and why we are doing what we are doing at Fairphone. So Fairphone is a social enterprise that is uncovering all the complex systems in the supply chain and the industry of the smartphones, working in a model that has 3 steps. So we look at all these issues and then we create awareness on these issues in the supply chain or manufacturing of smartphones or electronics in general. The second step is to create an example, and that's our products and that's the projects that we start. So whether it is the phone itself, to make it very modular and visibly modular so that everybody sees that it's possible. So that's also an example that we work on. Or, for example, projects like our living wage program with our manufacturer, that's also an example, which is maybe, it's not as tangible as a phone because it's not physical, but it's very tangible for workers in the manufacturing lines. And the last step for us in this theory of change is what we say, create followers or attract followers, which means that with every project that we do, we make sure or we try that those projects get accelerated or scaled up also with other partners that are sometimes bigger than Fairphone as an organization. And this is how we want to, or how we are creating impact across the industry. Some tangible examples of like where some of the fair materials we're working on end up. So for example, the back cover is 100% recycled plastic, which is was an interesting process and big work from our engineering team. Not easy. We also have recycled tin in the soldering paste that we use to put the components in the PCBs. We are working on the Fair Cobalt Alliance, which is a material that eventually end up in batteries as well. So multiple of our 14 different fair materials end up in different parts of the phone and are more or less visible. One that I really like often to mention is gold, because many people don't know that there is actually gold in our electronics. It's a tiny, tiny amount of gold, but still can make a lot of difference in the supply chain. And in Fairphone 4, we've invested also in introducing Fairtrade gold in our supply chain. And gold in a phone is used in many parts, connectors, and some of the chips. So it's something that is a little bit more invisible to our eyes. My favorite thing about Fairphone 4, I was so involved, it's difficult to choose one. I'm going to mention two. So from a design perspective, right? Like, of course, I could mention a lot of the projects that we do from an impact perspective, but if we're talking about design, I think the internal graphics are something that I didn't make them myself, of course, like all the kudos to Sharon and other people from the team, but when I saw the graphics on the phone itself, I felt really proud because I felt like, wow, this looks so different, and it's something that people will not expect when they open their phone. So it felt really natural to Fairphone and very well achieved how we implemented it in the phone. And the other thing that I like to highlight is the fact that the opening mechanism has a little bit of a color there, but it also gives a cue to something that we really want, and is that that you are able to open your devices and repair them yourself. So I thought that was a nice cue to have there.
Thank you.
Don't make me famous.